Hi everyone, this is Diane. I'm going to show you this journal that will be in my shop. I will put it in my shop at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on, I think you'll see this video on Thursday morning. So I will put this in the shop at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursday. So that is May 8th. Yes, May 8th. So I'm going to go through this one first, and then this is the one I'm keeping, and I'll go through that one when we're done with this. Before I get into this, I have two things. One, I just got an order from an Etsy shop in the Netherlands called Lens Crafty Life. And I'm telling you this now because I took pieces out of it and put them in this journal. And they are laundry, like French laundry labels with the red embroidery. These are all numbers. I've never seen those. And these are assorted initials. You can pick out specific initials, but these I think were a little bit cheaper. And if I recall correctly, the shipping was free, even though they're coming from the Netherlands because they just came in a flat envelope. So it's Lens Crafty Life. And must be she has another shop called Lens Crafty Life Digi, so a separate shop for digitals. And she's on YouTube, which I don't think I've ever seen her on YouTube. I'll have to look her up. Lens Crafty Life. I may have seen her. And Lens Crafty Life, all one word, on Instagram. So I just wanted to show that to you and give her a shout out. And the shipping was pretty quick, even though it came from overseas. The other thing I want to show you is this packet that I have started putting together, and there will be more because I have a lot of digitals, little digital pieces that came with the kit that I used. And I'll put some of them in here, not all of them, but I'll put some in here. And also, I used a lot of antique and vintage items throughout the journal, but I'm including some more in this little bundle. So this is an antique piece that came from, oh, I'm going to sneeze again. Okay, I guess not. Came from something, I don't know. I think I got it just as a card. It was glued into something. But it's showing some hats, ladies' hats. And then magazine images. Look at these, speaking of hats, look at these crazy hats. It's got two things poking up from one on each side. It looks ridiculous. And there's another one. They don't even look pretty to me. But these look pretty. But I'm giving you those just for fun. If you want to use them, you go right ahead. Some vintage extract labels. A stamped label that I made on a vintage book page. I think you get a couple real cigarette cards, and this is a digital. It's just a scrap of wallpaper, little flower, some die cut things, and a label, some postage stamps, die cut out of a book. Dictionary page, or not page, but a definition, a sticker, vellum sticker. That's an adhesive strip, but I would glue it if you're going to use it. Some of the dry cleaning ephemera that I have. It's just a paper vintage looking label. A piece of a border in blue because it's a blue book. Some dairy coupons. I actually used some of these in the book, but there's a couple more. These were cut out of a fashion book. Another die cut. Another adhesive strip. Just a digital lace piece. This is a sticker. Memories. Another dairy coupon. This is one of the copies that I made. I made digitals out of them. They're not in my shop, but that's just a digital image. A die cut and some die cut doilies. You will have to finish poking out all the little pieces. They won't be hard, but I just didn't take the time to do that. So there's that one, and then this is a shabby one. This little piece cut from a book, some more dry cleaning thing, and that's some tickets. This is I think it's a Anna Griffin piece, but it's slightly 3D. So all of those, plus a few of the little digital pieces that came with the kit that I used, and as I clean up my space, I might find more to put in there. Now let's get into the book. It's 9 inches high and 5 1/4 inches wide, and the spine is 2 inches. I coffee dyed some pillow ticking to use for the spine, the blue and white pillow ticking. And I used an antique cabinet card. So it's one of the thick chipboard kind of thickness photographs from the old era. And I used vintage laces and, well, it's all crochet pieces and tatting. And these are buttons. They're all vintage buttons. This one has the old thread still in it, and it's got some of the color worn off, which I think is really cool. And this one is an old piece of jewelry. It came off a brooch or something. This has some blue edging on the tatting. And the leather corners are worn at the corners, but I left them that way because I liked the kind of grungy look. And this cover isn't quite as grungy as the one I'm keeping, but these corners look quite worn. And there's a faded spot here and some staining, just a little bit. I love the texture, like the linen looking texture of this. You can see a little bit of the leather that was on the spine. And here is the dangle that I made. It's attached with this loop. If you don't like this, if you think this looks too bright and shiny for a vintage book, you can just unscrew this and the back part will come off and you can just remove it. And you'll have a hole in there, but anyway, I did include some vintage necklace pieces on this. I'll try to find them and show you. I don't think any of those are. This here, some blue translucent faceted beads they're connected by metal loops, and I think that was probably on the back of the necklace that hung down from the closure, the fastener of the necklace. And then this piece is on string. You see the string right there, and that might have been the same situation, hanging down from the back. I'm not sure if there's any more on there. I don't know, but mostly they're new beads. I tied it with this piece of seam binding that is actually doubled, folded over. I bought a whole roll of this and I didn't realize it was doubled over. Bought it at a yard sale. But I used it to tie a bow around there. I didn't think you'd want to have something that you would have to pull off because you've got the buttons here and this piece here, and I don't want things snagging on them and loosening them. So you can untie that and tie it. I love the marble end papers. I left them there. This is from a vintage book that featured the Gibson Girl images. And it was a landscape style or orientation book, so that worked well to just fold it and keep the images upright. And I used vintage trim on the edges, and that's a Vintage Dairy coupon. This is a sheet or part of a pillowcase, vintage pillowcase, and there is one of the fabric labels, or not fabric label. It is fabric and it is a label. It's a laundry label. I made these tags on video with a vintage doily here and from an 1800s magazine here, some French text. This book was a book written in French. Mulberry paper, coffee dyed shipping tag. And this is a vintage ledger from a dairyman's root book. I wanted to make sure you had a lot of writing space. So I included things for that. I did do a lot of stamping that wasn't on the video, and I don't think I flipped through it at all after I did the stamping. So there's quite a bit of stamping throughout the book. And most of the stamps that I used are from Tailor-Made Journals and Sam Poole. Both were manufactured by Creative Expressions, I think. Yeah, Creative Expressions, which is closing or has closed. I'm not sure. This is from a botanical book that had black and white drawings. And these are genuine cigarette card, the collector's cards. It's a little girl from Switzerland, and she can be punched out. This is perforated so that you don't have to punch it out, but you can stand her forward or something. I guess it was just, you know, a gimmick to be different. But with the perforation, you could remove it from the card and then put it in a scrapbook or something. These pockets are from the digital kit, and the digital kit is called Lace Journal Kit, and it's from Secret Helper, and I will link the kit below, and it came with a ton of ephemera. The kit pages are all in neutral colors, and then there's lots of ephemera in neutral, and then also in blue and in pink pastels. So this tag and these pockets are from the kit, and this is an antique card removed from a scrapbook. An old ledger paper. This is a statement from Theodore Presser Company, music publishers and dealers in Philadelphia. And there's more on the other side, of course. This is an old card again. This is, what do you call them? When a visitor would drop it off. I can't even think what it's called now. But it has the name on it, John Mather. Calling card. They come calling, you're not there, they leave their card. This is from a catalog for clocks and watches and things like that. I love the etching. And on this side, this came from an old Montgomery Ward catalog from the 1930s. It has paint samples there. And then this is another digital. I don't remember, but this is fabric sample digital. So she took pages from a fabric sample book from 1988 and made copies or made digitals out of it. So I used several pieces of that, and I printed them on coffee dyed paper. Did a collage on this page. This one I did on video. But then I did one in each signature, so you'll see some new ones. And that's vintage, and that, and this, and this. I think everything's vintage except for the laundry label, or the laundry ticket. I don't know how old the laundry tickets are. It's a dry cleaner ticket. An old calendar. This looks older than it is. This is from the 1970s. This is a digital from the kit, and this is a vintage card. Save this card for future use. And that's a digital from the kit. And this is a genuine cigarette card with a Hollywood image. My Heart is Calling, Marta Egerth, the Hungarian star. Never heard of her. Most of the people on those cards, because they're from the 1930s, I think, and I had never heard of most of them. There's another stamp. Vintage dictionary page, and this has an antique invitation card or announcement card about a party, 1891, and it was all black and white, and I added this little Victorian decorative piece there. And this is also an antique card. It's a advertising card for a furniture store. Oh, this I'm going to glue to cardstock and cut it out so you can journal on the back. It's one thing I forgot to do. Here's a digital page. Tailor-Made Journal stamp. This is music manuscript paper that I copy dyed, and I just left this there. You can glue it down, or I don't know, I just like the way it looks, so I left it. Copy dyed paper here with a vintage filet crochet piece and a vintage trim at the top. This is from a vintage art instruction book, and it was on painting flowers. And since this book is blue, I looked for blue painting. Even though there's other colors on the back, it's still gorgeous. This is from a vintage sewing machine little book. It came with a sewing machine, I'm sure, but it was a book on other models that you could get with their beautiful cabinets. And there's the foot thing. You'd press down on that foot grate. It's a whole grate to make the sewing machine run. I stamped the word antique. Copy dyed guest check, a vintage embroidery transfer that you can use to decorate your book if you'd like, and an antique alphabet card advertising Duff's Molasses. And I'm sure they wanted you to collect the entire set. There were probably 13 cards with 2 letters. That's an I for ibis and K for kitten. Piece of vintage lace here. Stamped image. Some pieces of the calendar had tears. This one had some old tape on it, which I left, and I just added a piece of washi tape. This is from a calendar page, a little memoranda page from 1883. And this is a transportation ticket in Chicago. I don't know how old this is. This is from an old magazine from the 20s or 30s about Dove lingerie. And here is a card game, probably a bridge score sheet. Another calendar book, 1963, calendar page. And this came from a field note guide for beautiful flowers. Here's the other side of that bill from 1945, I think. And the other side of the ledger has the same calendar memoranda book page and this vintage advertising card for dental rooms in Ithaca, New York. This one has a 1963 appointment book page. There's the beautiful lace page. This came with the kit, and I just glued the bottom of it there to tuck that behind it. On this page, I tore a very fragile piece of marble. It was not marbled. Most of it was marbled, but this page was a big page, and it was just this tiny floral, but it was an end paper from an antique book. I got a collection of these end papers from a vendor at a flea market. This is actually an antique piece. It was in a scrapbook, and I added this sheer netting behind it. Some stamping, another bridge score pad, and another game score pad in blue. I love it, but it's from Chesterfield Cigarettes. There's a dairy coupon and another piece of lace. This is sheer, it's not lace, it's trim. It's sheer trim with embroidery on it. Another sheet piece, and I just added these laundry label things, and so the glue kind of went through, so it makes the tag in the back stick a little bit. This is from an antique magazine, and this is a Tim Holtz ephemera piece. I stamped on this tag. I did this in a video. Another beautiful stamp from Lorna Taylor. It's a picture of Tansy, or Bitter Button. More digital cards, and then the real ephemera here are these tickets and this antique calling card. These are digitals. Another digital page. There are 2 digital pages in each signature. This is the ledger page in this signature. It's from 1955, and it's a hardware company in Alabama. I got a pack of these, quite a large stack of these, from a viewer in a Happy Mail, which was very nice, and I appreciated it very much. So you can write on this side of it. This is from a nursing service, like a home visiting nurse. She would travel around, and I got a little binder of her pages here, 1947. And this is from this is a church offering envelope in Knoxville, Tennessee. I found these at a flea market last year, and it's dated 1929. They were sealed shut just because of moisture, so, and the paper is fragile, so it tore some when I opened it, but it just, I don't mind that because it's old. And this is actually a business card from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, but on the back it was used to type out the name of an album, the quality of it. This one was the Kingston Trio, fair, scratchy background. And I just like that. So I would glue something on the back of that and use it as a journaling card. I got a stack of those from Feed the Birdies on Etsy. Here is from an old magazine from the 1930s. And this is a vintage label in French. Syrup of something, I don't know what that word is. I didn't look it up. And another of the fabric sample digitals. And here's another collage. This is a vintage label for 15 cents, a vintage German measuring tape, the laundry, dry cleaning ticket things. And this is from an antique magazine. This little piece is a little tab that you would put in the clear tab part of a hanging file folder. And it's vintage. Another calendar page. It does have writing, but you can glue things over that. I like the numbers on this. And I folded this piece up. This was all from all the pages. I had 6 pieces, so I could put 3 in each journal, and it was a large page, and it's thin paper, so I just tore it into 6 pieces. So some of the pieces are bigger and some smaller, and this one was big enough that I could fold it up. And this is a kind of a ledger from Towanda, Pennsylvania in the 1930s, and it's from the courthouse. That's our county seat, Towanda, Pennsylvania. More lace. Stamping, that's a stamp. This is real lace and some at the top. Another portion of the art instruction book page. This is a pocket I did on a video. I stamped Daybook up here, and this came from an old book of furniture. And this is from a game that I purchased at the flea market recently, a Sherlock Holmes game. So it's a solution checklist, which will be fun to write on. And another page from the Floral Field Guide. more vintage lace there. This is a vintage envelope. I love it. It's so tiny and pretty. And it's from 1920. And you can fit in this colored index card. And this sort of a ticket to get punched. City Market, 1918. Stamp. This is vintage here, and this, well, they're all vintage. All of these pieces are vintage. And I arranged them onto the blue cardstock and then cut it out in that shape to make a little tuck spot. This is a digital, not from this kit, just these digitals I just had in my stash. And these two also. And I added some washi tape here because this was torn. So you can glue this flap down if you want to, but for now I just used a paper clip on it. Here's another image from a very old catalog from 1918 or something like that. And these are pages from old autograph books. That's all blank, and this one is from a different book, and it has a little something that Joe Jack wrote on Rita's autograph book. Vintage notebook paper. Here's the nurse's page. It's upside down here because it was in a flip book. And here's the other side of that hardware store ledger, and it had this, what do you call it, adding machine printout here. And it stuck off, it was glued on at an angle, so it went onto the other page. So I just folded it over. And then as I was decorating the book, I decided to just glue it down that way, and now it's a little pocket. And I put some digital tags that I had in my stash. It's beautiful lace there. And another appointment book page. Here's another of the end papers. This one was marbled, and I put some netting behind it, and this Victorian piece here, a stamp, and the last signature. This one isn't a sheet, it's just a pretty fabric that I did a collage on. This is from a mini little notebook, has the letter G tab on it. And a tag. This is a Victorian piece, and this is from an old birthday calendar or birthday book. You would write the person's name for June 25th, June 26th, 27 and 28, and then it has little quotes. And I just love the design. It was in a beat up old cover, but it was kind of a velvety cover. And another of the digital pages. And the last collage has another lady from an old magazine. This is from an old almanac. I cut this out of it. It says Dr. Thomas's electric oil, worth its weight in gold. That's a vintage letter, letter from a book of household labels, and that's something I die cut and embossed it at the same time. Dry cleaning ticket. Oh, I see what happened. There's a hole in this paper, so when I glued this down, the glue went through the hole and hit that, but we're good. Here's another vintage envelope for Burmac for relief of pains due to headache and neuralgia. 3 tablets, 10 cents. The tablets were not in the envelope. They were unused envelopes when I bought them. I got about 5 of them, I think, at a flea market. So I didn't put anything in it. I just added it here. And there's a stamp. I love this old lace. And this pretty printed bias tape. This is wrapping paper. Most of the signatures have, what do they have in the centers? Oh, the art instruction book, but I couldn't find another one that I liked for the blue book, so I pulled out this wrapping paper. So you get an extra pair of pockets, so you get extra goodies here. I did glue, oh dear. I want to be careful because this paper is old and fragile, but I apparently glued stuff in here. I do not want to tear the wrapping paper. This is a vintage notebook paper, and there's one in each pocket. And the other piece is well, it was cut from an old magazine, so I thought you could fussy cut it and use it to decorate. There we go. And I didn't rip anything. So you can cut her out. You can cut her away from it if you want to, because it just shows the back of the dress, and do what you want to. She's holding a little Chinese vase in her hand. Make sure you can get these things out. There's another from an old magazine you can use. Yep, those are all loose. There's no glue down here, so it had to have been over here. Didn't think about that. I was trying all sides. Okay, here's another pocket that I did on camera with a piece of a ledger page. It was like a time book for a train man. I hope that I've been in video. I stamped that word lace, and there's another of those pages in the back. And here is a photograph, maybe of sisters. It's a postcard, and a Borden's coupon. I put a rusty safety pin on this piece of lace. A stamp. This one has another one of those record. This one was oldies, and the quality is poor, tape to tape from radio. So maybe it was labeling some cassette tapes that they made. And a genuine cream soda label. So like I said, there is a lot of vintage and antique stuff in here. This is from an antique magazine. I made a pocket out of it. Another of the birthday book pages. And here's another fussy cut lady that I did glue to cardstock so you can write on the back. Octagon label and a current postcard. Glue that down somewhere if you want to. This is a very genuine Victorian piece that came out of a scrapbook, and this is also a Victorian piece out of a scrapbook. And I added this piece that I cut from an old curtain. I showed this on video. This is a embroidery transfer and a vintage cocoa quinine label, pharmacy label. And I made a tuck spot out of that. And there's a not vintage claim check. In the back, I just used a piece of cardstock. I think that was K & Company, make a pocket, and then I put this large tag in it that is collaged with wallpaper pieces on the background, and then she's cut from an old magazine catalog. That's a digital, or a digital label, and I stamped the word on it. And that is this book. Now, I know I feel like I've been talking a long time. Yeah, so I'm going to try to do this quickly. I haven't put the dangle on it yet. I was working on it last night, and I just kept fumbling things, so I put it away till I could get some sleep. So this is the old necklace piece, if I can get it, that one, and then this. So I used blue in the other book, and in this one I used greens and rusty reds. So this little piece right here is from an old necklace, just the spacer piece. And then somebody made this for me, I think, and sent it to me. So I used it. It's got a little bee. And this came from an old necklace. And these beads, I've got a bunch of these beads that came from an old necklace, and this part. And there's another one of those beads. So that's going to go on the front, and I have this old pin. Hopefully it's going to stay now. And my old buttons that I used on this one. This is the book I'm keeping. This one is more grungy looking, and I love it. Like the green color ran onto that, and then this green fabric is ripping. The covers are worn, and I just love it. So I'll just try to go through here quickly. This is just a vintage fabric. I love the colors of that, and they were perfect for this book. There's an old card there. This vintage piece has doors that open. Embroidery transfer. There's my rusty safety pin. This is from a 1920s or 30s magazine, and or catalog. I think it was from a Ward's catalog, and it's advertising these fabrics. It came out of an antique scrapbook. There's a creme de cacao label. I think I bought this at a vendor mall. I think I paid $1 for that one little label. This one is a sheet. Old sheet music. It has this vintage label that wasn't even cut out yet. This is an advertisement for Brown's Improved Steam Heater. Practical, reliable, and durable. Again, there's a hole in that paper for the notebook binding. Here's an old postcard. 1907, I think is what it says. And this old envelope was attached to a bouquet, I think. It has a little metal eyelet here, so it was probably tied to something. It has a staple there, an old staple. And it was for Mrs. Ralph Sturtevant in Mashopin Hospital. That's in Pennsylvania. These are two digitals here. This is from, it was attached to some socks, I believe. But not when I bought it. It was vintage. Bought it in a box of stuff. I love finding all the little things when I buy boxes or packets of stuff. The autograph book pages, I attached these ladies out of an old catalog. I attached them to vellum. Not all of these pages have these printouts attached, but I chose two that did. More marbled end paper. So I thought I was working in the blue book when I put this in. So I added blue flowers in that. And then I realized it wasn't the blue book. But that's okay. I can have blue in mine. And there's laundry label there. Here's the photograph in mine. Again, maybe sisters. And this one has a label for ginger ale. Innisfallen ginger ale. And she is glued to cardstock. She's from a 1918 catalog. And this is an antique piece. I glued my octagon label to the page. I clipped yours. Whoever buys that one, I clipped it to the page. But I figured I would just glue mine down. This is an antique piece. Vintage wallpaper back here. And she is an authentic vintage lady cut from an old catalog. So, and that's a vintage label too. Forest Leaf Compound, the Great Blood and Nerve Restorer. These are two pieces of cardstock that I glued together and then formed the pocket. So these were a lot of fun to make. I enjoyed them very much. I hope you enjoyed seeing them. I do have to go back and glue that one cutout to cardstock, and then this book is done. And I have to finish the dangle on mine, and this book is done. So there we go. I hope you liked it, and come to my shop. I'll link the shop below. I'll link the digital kit below. But come to my shop if you're interested in purchasing this blue one at 5 p.m. Eastern Time today, the day you see the video. Thanks for watching. Have a creative day. Bye.